Hey everyone, Tim Adams from Premier Racing Top Fuel, here to do our final debrief after our last race of the season at the Winternationals. Troy has asked, how does the track temp, air temp, affect the fuel mixture, and how do you know how to get it right for each run? Track temperature affects it a lot, in that when the track is hot, you can't run the car as hard, you can't be as aggressive in the clutch, which means the motor doesn't have as much load on it, so you've got to run a leaner fuel curve through the motor. When the track is cool and tight and you can accelerate the car hard, it means you can give it more clutch and you've got to run a richer fuel curve. Weather conditions also dictate your fuel curve, so how much water is in the air, how good the adjusted altitude, temperature, all that critical weather information. That also affects how much fuel you can run on the hit of the throttle, as well as how much fuel you run to the motor through the run. How do we get it right each run? It's just all experience. Just basically run after run after run and learning where the car needs to be for your setup is what you do there. Obviously we don't get it right every run, and that's why you see cars drop cylinders or even burn some parts up or throw the rods out of them basically at the end of a run. Stephen has asked, any Australian track good enough for a 3.6 second run? I think so. I think they are. I think Tailem Bend definitely comes to mind straight away, mainly because it's a really nice racetrack, nice and smooth, good traction there, and also the weather is, both times we've been there so far, the weather has just been phenomenal for making power. So if any track springs to mind straight away, but it would be Tailem Bend. But I think Sydney Dragway could do it. Willowbank Raceway could do it as well. Just got to know how to do it. Martin has asked, will Peter still drive the car next season? I hope so, because if he doesn't, it means I don't have a job. So yes, I believe he will be. Craig has asked, what is the device that Tim carries on him at the start line that can shut the car down if need be before the car is ready to launch? I find this very interesting. The device one of my crew members actually hands me after I walk back behind the car is basically a remote control device that has a little button on it that if I see any sort of issues with the car, as it drops a cylinder, anything we don't like that we think is going to cost a lot of money or hurt parts, that type of thing, I can basically hit it. The car has a receiver on it, and it basically disengages the throttle straight away. So yeah, it's just safety device, dollar saving device these days. So when a car drops a cylinder, it can get ugly real fast. So yeah, if we see that on the start line, we can just basically hit the button, disconnects the throttle, and we're done and dusted for that run. Kirk has asked, what do you see as the next major breakthrough in top fuel racing? In Australia, I would say 330 mile an hour, either by a top fuel car or a funny car. And obviously in the US, they're looking at 340, either one as well, top fuel or funny car. It's a bit of a race to get there to see which one of the brackets will run, in our country, 330 mile an hour first. Bradley asks, what's the process now to prepare for the next season? Is there R&D that can improve the engine, driveline, or even improvements in the driver? We kind of struggled this season for getting the car to 60 foot, so that's definitely our focus in the off season. We believe it's a power problem, so we're going to look at a bit of an upgrade in areas around the engine to try and make more power, but also we're also going to look at what we can do better in the clutch, our clutch packs. Basically go through the car. If we can get some weight out of the car, make it a little lighter. We're going to look at everything that it takes to go out there and be more competitive. I believe next season, if you turn up to some of these tracks and you can't run mid-70s, you got no hope. Paul has asked, do you change rear tyres on every run? Depending on conditions. So if a track is in good condition, nice and tight, thing and we're a little worried about early wheel speed, we might put a brand new set of tyres on it. other than that, we try and keep the tyre the same rollout, same everything. The only other time we kind of change them is if they're damaged, which happened a fair bit on the back end of this season with the colder tracks. We were chunking tyres and cutting tyres a lot. So yeah, we had to change tyres a fair bit the back end of this season. But normally, try and get anywhere up to 8 runs on a set of tyres if we can keep them on there, and they're the same rollout, and the rollout stays around the same. We'll just run with them. Brett asks, during a run, how many times does the engine turn over? It just amazes me, all that work for a couple of 100 revolutions. So my quick calculations, working on an average RPM of about 7850 over 3.8 seconds, the engine should do something around about 500 revolutions, which is a lot of work, trust me, for yeah, that shorter period of time. But in 500 revolutions, that engine can do a hell of a lot of damage to it too if things aren't right. So it's a pretty harsh environment to be in. Next question's from Aaron. Why do blower belts come off? Are they not designed to spin as fast? The design of the blower belt's fine. Usually blower belts coming off is a sign of detonation in the motor. These days we run it's a more Kevlar stranded belt, so it doesn't tend to break. It tends to just tear the teeth out of them, which again usually happens from detonation or the belt being too loose, and it starts to actually try and jump teeth. So once it gets into that, what they call ratcheting, yeah, it just tears the teeth out of the belt. Trent asks, is nitromethane dangerous to touch on skin? You can touch it, it doesn't hurt you. It's quite cool feeling, sweet to the taste, all that sort of stuff, but you know, prolong, you know, having it on your skin for a long period of time, I'm sure your skin doesn't like it. Luke asked, how does downhill slope at Willowbank affect tuning? I don't really look at it that way. Like, to me, Willowbank is like any other tracks where early on in the run, the track's, you know, pretty reasonably level. So everything is about accelerating the car as fast as you can, and preferably, you know, to that before half track area. Then the back half of the track where Willowbank slopes away a lot more is kind of where the car's not under load no more. It's just you're just trying to rev the motor back up. So, you know, there's not a lot you really do different, or I don't do different at Willowbank to any of the other tracks. And then Jackson's got the last question, and he's asked, how much horsepower does it make a second? Calculated horsepower, I would think, for cars in Australia would be somewhere around about the 10,000 horsepower. Probably make them more in America, but you know, they're running into the 360s. If we're running low 70s, mid 70s, we might be making a touch more than 10,000. I've never sat down to try and work out the numbers and so forth, but that's all the calculated stuff that I'm led to believe. So that's it for all the questions this time. Look forward to doing it again next season. Right now, they're working pretty hard in the background on getting a calendar together. So keep an eye on all your socials and so forth, and should have something out to you pretty soon. Thanks very much.